Garage door open. Quentin, it's been so long. I had to do it for you. Hey guys, welcome back. So part 2 of my 996 to 997 comparison video. In this part I'm going to be driving. I am driving, and I get to start the video with doing one of my favorite things, which is getting on to the freeway and absolutely flooring it like this. God damn it! Oh my god, I love this car! I love driving this car. Love it! Like, how do you compare the two? When they were a year apart, basically, and one's an automatic, one's a manual, the engine's slightly different, blah blah blah. All I can say is the thrill is just as good. And I say that not wanting to disappoint anyone with a 997, and not just pandering to some of the folks who have 996s. Oh, yeah, the busies. Better just slow down a little bit. I think if I had 2 automatic cars or 2 manual cars, the comparison would be a lot easier. But I don't know, comparing a manual to an automatic, it's unfair, but I think it's fair to say this. I think it's fair to say that this car might pull me over because I'm talking into my phone, so let's hold on. Metro Transit. Do they have any jurisdiction on the highway? I don't know. Oh, well, we'll see. Are they going to follow me? Go to the airport. They're going to the airport. All right. I think, in all honesty, the 997 has got a little more power, and it's more responsive because it's a manual, not an automatic. But overall, I'd say it's a little quicker and it has a little more power. But that doesn't diminish the 996 in any way, because that 996 gave me so much joy. It was an absolute joy to drive. And it gave me a thrill every time I put my foot down and just felt that flat 6 kick in. It's awesome. But, you know, overall, I think it is really, really hard to, you know, to sort of compare the two from their drive style. Like, they both handle really well. They both give you that really amazing feel of the road. They're both, well, the other one was Carrera 4, this is a rear-wheel drive again, so making the comparison difficult, but they're both just awesome cars. I think, as you know, as far as look and feel goes, the 997 has a lot of improved features and a lot of different features. I won't say they're necessarily all improvements, they're different. But the acceleration, incredible, both generations. The feel of the drive, definitely incredible. Maybe a little quicker. I honestly don't know what else to say. One thing that's interesting is getting used to driving a stick shift again. I drove a manual car when I was first learning to drive in the UK, I passed my test in a manual. I drove for years in the UK and all across Europe driving manuals. And then in the past, however many years I've been here in the States now, I've become so accustomed to driving automatics that I occasionally find myself pulling out of corners or going into corners or trying to overtake on the motorway or the highway and not being 100% sure which gear I'm in and which gear I need to shift to. So like if I'm in 6th gear on the highway, I might kick it into 5th, you know, and I'm doing 50 or 60 to get around a car at 70 and come back down again. But like when you do it 80 or 90, not that I do on American roads, you know what, like here we are again, look. I was in 5th gear, lights changed, and I had to jump down to 3rd. But yeah, sometimes I'm just a little nervous about going from 6th to 4th instead of 6th to 5th, hoping the revs don't explode on me. So I'm still playing that mental game every time I change gear. The upwards and downwards sort of serial progression when you're just driving on regular residential roads is easy, you know, especially when the speeds are relatively like 10, 20, 30 miles an hour. But making those sort of split-second decisions on a highway, do you pull out, do you take over, are you going to try and, you know, cut across and make that turn? I find myself just hesitating slightly, thinking, okay, I'm in 5th, so I'm going to stay in 5th, and then I'm going to get into 6th when I open it up. Now, one difference from the 996 and the 997, I think, is the sound of the engine. I've noticed a subtle but definite difference. The 997 sounds, maybe I'm making this up in my head, but it sounds a very little bit throatier, and the stock exhaust definitely sounds different. You get a great sound inside the cabin, and when you put the windows down, it sounds really good as well. Braking performance is about the same, although to be fair, I do need to replace the pads and the rotors on the 997, and I did that for the 996, and looking online, it looks like it's about the same sort of job, so I'll do that. But yeah, braking performance is about the same, and it's probably not surprising considering I'm comparing a Carrera against a Carrera 4. But as far as the generational differences go, they're, you know, very difficult for a complete amateur driver like me to tell. I bet you if you put a proper driver in a car like this, he or she would be able to tell you where the real differences are. But in the 997, just the base Carrera like I've got, there is a slight difference in horsepower. The torque is about the same. They're both you know, the flat 6 engines. This one, I think it's technically the M96 engine, so it's essentially the same engine that's in the 996. They just made a few improvements to give you that extra few horses, and a couple of other things I read about which I now don't spring to mind. But I love it, and I think I think I would have a 996 second gen again. If I, you know, wanted a second 911. Does anybody need two 911s? Nope. But I definitely would have it again, and I miss that car sometimes, actually. It was such a nice car to drive. What I don't miss is driving around with the hardtop on, feeling down on myself for not driving it with the hood down, because it was a two-man job to get that hood off, and that was such a pain in the arse. It is what it is. So that's it. I'm sorry if this hasn't given you a whole load of super exciting information, but from this amateur's perspective, the differences between the 996 and the 997 in terms of drive and drive performance are subtle at best. There are definitely some improvements. I'm really happy with the 997, but you 996 owners, don't feel like you're missing out on too much. Enjoy your car, and thanks everybody for watching. I'm hopefully going to do a couple more videos before the winter gets here. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.